All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to design a buyer presentation in Command. First thing we're going to go ahead and do is go into Designs. Then you're going to click on Add New Design in that bottom right-hand corner. Click Print. Seems how this is a document that you can print out. And then on the left-hand side, we're going to click on Buyer and then choose Buyer Presentation. Now there's a lot of templates here to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and just click this one. And now as I go through, I'm just going to choose the pages that I would like to have in my presentation. So for example, see where this plus sign is, I can go ahead and click that, and now it's part of my guide. And this is called Your Guide to Homeownership, everything you need to know about buying a home. Of course, you could click here, highlight, and then type in your info, right? I'm going to delete this placeholder. And then when I click on the logo, I can actually just replace it with our logo. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so it stands out. And then when I click on the left-hand side where it says templates, it brings me back to my template pages. Click Add New. Now this here will talk about the introductions page. This is more so an informational on how to go through the consult and what things that you might want to talk about. So you probably don't want to add this page to your actual consult, but I wanted to be able to show it to you so that way you can see that there is instructions here and some tips and tricks to go through the rest of your presentation. If you would like, you can customize this per client. So maybe you don't print these, but you do Zoom meetings with screen share. I think that would add a really cool touch if you personalized it per client, and then you could email it to them, and it would just kind of set you apart from other agents. Table of contents. I think it's always great to give an overview of what you're going to talk about. So when you sit down, have a little forward conversation, get to know one another. But then you're able to say, hey, so this is what we're going to talk about in the next 30 minutes to an hour. My buyer consults honestly tend to be about an hour long because I go over a lot. Including cost sheets. So the more value you can provide up front here, it'll actually save you a lot of time, especially during the transaction. A sound decision, investing in a home is one of the most important decisions that you'll make. So much more than a roof over your head. And basically you're building yourself up to talking about how you're going to navigate through this journey and making sure that you work with a realtor who's going to be that GPS for you to navigate through the home buying process. Your needs come first. This is a great page to not only remind you to sit and listen for a little bit, but to help you peel back those layers of the onion and really get down to the core of what your potential clients' dreams are. Why do they want to buy a home? What's important to them about that? This is a great page for you to just ask questions, but sit back and listen. Sometimes we need those reminders because we can get a little nervous, which means we can get a little chatty and we can forget to let the other side of the table talk. This page is great because it talks about your app. Getting them to search for homes on your app will allow them to communicate with you easier. Plus, they can apply for a mortgage and insurance rate from your app. And they even have a home buyer guide with checklists. So your buyer can check off as they complete, pre-approval and then going under contract, home inspections. Hopefully it'll save you from getting those late night calls of, well, we just had the inspections, now what? They'll have their app right there with the guide reminding them what is coming ahead. build your preference profile. This is basically allowing you to understand, especially if it's like a couple buying together, it's going to allow you to know who's my main point of contact. When are you trying to get this home purchased by? Do you have a deadline? Do you have a lease ending? When's the best time to reach you? And then how often do you want me to contact you? Do you just want me to send you listings as they match your criteria? Do you want me to check in with you weekly, daily? This is just going to help you give your client the best experience according to them, right? So everybody might be different. You might have some people who are cool with you sending an email whenever there's a listing that matches their criteria, and then maybe like a text or a phone call once a month. You might have some people who want to know that you're working for them every day and you need to check in with them weekly. So this is a great time to have that conversation. Then again, peeling back that onion even better, diving deeper into their needs. What exactly are they looking for? What's their wish list? What items on those wish lists are they willing to forego if they find a home in the perfect location, right? Or are some of these things maybe things they need to sacrifice because of their price range, which is a conversation that you might have to have. Now we're talking about neighborhood preference. I personally would probably just pick a couple of these pages and not all of them. Might be a little overwhelming, but maybe narrow it down to 1 to 2 pages of, let's talk about what your house looks like. Let's talk about what the dream location looks like. Let's talk about the price range, right? And that's a good thing to bring up, that just because there's all these pages here, you don't have to add them all. You can truly only add the ones that work for you, for your business, for your style. How home buying works. Now, this is where it gets into that roadmap of here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And as you go through these steps, you can then explain to them, what those steps mean, what those steps entail, how you're there to help them navigate through that process, especially this under contract to close section. I love this part here, closing day, what to bring. So many people don't realize that they need to bring their ID, right? They're in moving clothes and they've been packing all night and they got the moving truck filled and they're ready to go. And then they forget their ID and they have no idea where it is. So it's great to just talk about these things ahead of time. Bring a check to closing in case our numbers are off, just helping them to be really prepared. Financing your home, what that loan process looks like between being pre-approved versus actually applying for the mortgage, why they have to have their home appraised, the underwriting process. Another good idea, you can always upload pages here. If you work with a couple lenders, some of them will have roadmaps on financing that they'd like you to use. So you could always do that too. But I think this is a great overview on what that mortgage application process looks like. This is also a great time to talk about the do's and do nots. So for example, do save as much money as possible. I used to joke with my potential clients and say, listen, you're living on hot dogs and mac and cheese until closing day, and they would giggle. And I'd say, no, the truth of the matter is you can never have too much money in your bank account when you're buying a house. We need to prepare for anything that comes our way. So do your best to save, pay your bills on time, pay down your debts, and things not to do. Do not open up a credit card. I don't care if you're saving 50% on your transaction at the store, especially around the holidays. Don't open up any new lines of credit. Don't co-sign for loans. Don't lease a car because they're pulling your credit, and that lease will act as debt towards your debt to income ratio. So great time to talk about those do's and do nots, because these do nots are things that can kill a transaction days before closing when you think that things are going to be going through. And then I love this section here, have on hand pay stubs, taxes. This is going to make their pre-approval and approval process a lot easier. If they've gone through bankruptcy, they need to have those discharge papers. There's certain timelines in which, after bankruptcy, they can buy a home again. You need to have copies of that discharge paperwork. Let the lender look at it and let them decide if that person's ready to move forward or not. Home loans made simple. This is where you can brag about Keller Mortgage as an option. It's always good to give 3 options for a lender. So make Keller Mortgage one of those 3. It definitely has saved some of my clients some money. I had one who was able to compete in a dynamic market because they needed seller help, but because they had Keller Mortgage closing costs were reduced by $3,000, which is the amount that my client needed. So they were able to compete because they no longer needed seller help. So just something to think about, some food for thought. Then you have some pages where you can brag about yourself. If you're a newer agent, that's okay. Brag about KW of Central PA and why working with a KW agent gives them a competitive advantage. Being your trusted partner, talking about the importance of signing a buyer agency. When they agree to work with you, you're not going to be committed to them. They come before new appointments, right? You're going to make sure that they get into homes that fit their criteria and their needs before you just start working with other people. You're going to help them get competitive, say that 3 times fast, competitive financing and insurance. You're going to be there to get them all the connections they need to get to the closing table. And if you utilize HomeKeeper, you have a free moving concierge that can help them set up their utilities. We have a whole nother video on that. So write that down, HomeKeeper, that's HomeKeeper. Notice there's no E between P and R, but keep that in mind. And then of course, a promise to you. This is amazing. Our business is built on referrals. If you've taken bold, and you have learned this in bold. If you did not take bold, you should take bold and you will learn this in bold. But basically you're telling your potential or future client that, listen, I promise that I'm going to give you the best experience possible. I cannot guarantee that the transaction will be smooth in the sense of, things will come up. There's going to be some turbulence, some roadblocks, but I'm there to guide you through it. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that experience is the best that I can for you. If I hold up to my promise and I do all of these things and I'm there as your trusted local expert and advisor, at the end of this transaction, my business is built on referrals. So if I do all of these things for you, I would love it if you could promise back to me to refer your friends and family to me in the future. Maybe within 6 months to a year after closing, you can give me a referral or 2. Definitely think of other ways to structure it. There's a great bold script for it, but I love this page because it reminds you to do that. I love this page too, a promise to the community. It's great to brag on KW and yourself, how we participate in Red Day, giving back to our local community and all the community services that we do and donate to make sure that our homes and neighborhoods are the best that they can be. Searching Safely is there if you'd like to chat about COVID safety protocols. Bottom line is, real estate is complicated. That's where we come in. If it were as simple as filling out a contract and agreeing on price, we wouldn't have jobs. So just reiterate your promise, what your value is, your value proposition. And then I love this page because you're going to give a copy of this to your client or potential client after meeting with them, and just having some commonly used terms to refer to. You can say, hey, I'm going to do my best to explain all these things, but these terms might come up and you might be like, wait, what was that again? Go ahead and read this page, familiarize yourself with our lingo, so that way you feel like you're in the loop. The more value you can provide, the better. And there's a whole second page on some terms. I love this page. It's usually the last page, but basically it's saying, here's how you can get in touch with me, my contact information, email, app, website. You can swap out our logo here, right? All completely customizable. Wherever there's text, you can change it. So if you don't like this wording, just type in there, change it up to your wording, I would definitely add a text box, and I would add a whole section on your hours. And you can see that you can drag and drop it wherever. You can change the color of the font. Okay. But I would definitely talk about when they can expect to reach you, what your business hours are, so you're not getting phone calls at all hours of the night. I think this is also a great time to talk about if you have prospecting hours, what those hours are, and say, hey, if say your prospecting hours are 9 to 11 every day, you can say Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You might leave me a message. Chances are I'm not going to answer my phone because during that time I'm searching for sellers for my buyers and buyers for my sellers. If I'm talking to current clients about transactional issues during that time, I'm not doing my job for you. So if I answer my phone, A, you can call me out. But B, if it's urgent, just send me a text. I will make sure I get back to you after that prospecting time. Just sets those expectations so that way your client doesn't expect that when they call you, you will immediately answer. The busier you get, the more clients you have. You just want to set those expectations of when I'm in appointments with other clients, I do my best to give them my full attention, but send me a text, leave me a message. I'll definitely get back to you. Setting expectations, not only is it going to just make it clear to the people that you're working with, making sure that you're a good fit for each other, but it's just going to give you more work-life balance and will do wonders for your business. The sooner you implement that practice, the better. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Go make the best buyer presentation you can make. You don't have to hire someone to do this for you. You can do it completely for free in Command. Next, all you have to do is click this download button, save it as a PDF. So that way you can print this, or when you're doing consults via Zoom, you can just share your screen and go over that PDF with your potential clients. Keeps it super simple. And I do want to show you one more quick thing that's helpful. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see where it says pages. When you click that, it brings up all the pages in your packet. You can actually reorder them. So see how I'm dragging and dropping? You can reorganize your packet if you so choose. And then if there are pages that you no longer wish to have, maybe you're like, you know what, I have too many of this wish list. Where the three dots are, click that. You can either duplicate if you wanted, or you can click delete. And now page 7 is gone. So just a quick tip, if you want to reorganize it, you don't have to print it and then, move the papers around. You can reorganize it right in Command and easily delete pages that you don't want. And then just click download to save to your computer to print or to upload for a Zoom consult. So now you can go and have good luck on your next buyer presentation. Thanks for staying.